Put your pencils down on your desk. Pick up your colored pen. Last time we were together, we laid the foundation for the ideas of parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's see how well we grasped those ideas and what we were able to do with them. Number one, first we're going to start out with just identifying which two lines are parallel, and then I'll show you the graph after. Actually, I'm going to show you the graph after number two. And then for number two, you're going to tell me which lines are perpendicular. So stay on your toes because the equity bars are in effect today. And so we're on number one. You're just going to tell me which two lines are parallel. Number one, which two lines are parallel? I got student number 1, 9, and 20. Student number 1, student number 9, and student number 20. Student number 1, what'd you get?
Y equals 2x plus 1 and y equals 2x minus 3 are parallel.
Okay, number 9, what did you get? Okay, and student number 20, what did you get?
Y minus 2x plus 1 y equals 2x plus 1 and y equals 2x minus 3.
Okay, so these two are the lines that are parallel. The real magical answer is y. We'll get to that in a moment. Number 2, which two lines are perpendicular? I've got student number 2, student number 8, and student number 17. Student number 2, what'd you get?
Y equals 2x plus 1 and y equals -2x.
Okay, student number 8, what'd you get?
Oh, I got y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2 and y equals negative 2x minus 3.
Okay, so we have a disagreement. Student number 17.
Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2 and y equals negative 2x minus 3.
The two that are perpendicular are y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2 and y equals 2x plus 1. So let's go back to the reason why. Let's go back to why. Number 1, why are those two lines parallel? It can be summed up with two words. Shannon? Same slope. Slope is right here, 2, 2. Number 2, why? Ethan? Opposite reciprocals. Negative 1/2 and positive 2 are opposite reciprocals. Have to know that. Opposite reciprocals. That is why. Here's the other reason you knew why. Look at your graph. Because a bunch of you said the wrong pair of lines. Do your lines look perpendicular? All right, so now to the graphs. What should the graphs have looked like? Well, here is the graph to number 1. Two parallel lines. And here is the graph for number 2. Two perpendicular lines. Let's review some other things. All 6 equations are in the same form. What form are they all in? Milan? That is correct, but it has a name. What is its name? Go ahead. Slope-intercept form. Very good. When an equation is in slope-intercept form, where is the slope? When an equation is in slope-intercept form, where is the slope? This is a point where every single student's hand should be raised, flailing about with excitement because you're so confident and you know everything that you're talking about. Tiana?
Like after the equal sign and like before the x.
Good, in front of the x. So we can see slope, 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 slope. Super easy to see when it's in slope-intercept form, very important. So you just have to know the difference between what parallel means and what perpendicular means. Any comments, questions about that? Okay. Any comments, questions about today's warm-up? Anything at all? About Travis? Hydrographic. Very good. A very important question. When an equation is in slope-intercept form, could someone tell us how do we start? Let's use this one right here. How do we start graphing? Now, okay, how do I start? Okay, what should I put first on the graph? Thank you. This is called the what? Aaron? That's called the y-intercept. You put that right there, that's your starting point. And then what Natalie was trying to say is, then you need the slope, which is your GPS. Your GPS tells you where to travel. So this says up to over 1. So now you travel up to, over 1, put another point, and draw a line through them. So you have a point here, draw a line. Graphing in slope-intercept form is probably the easiest. I'd say intercepts is also very easy, but slope-intercept form is supposed to be super easy to graph. So even though I only asked you to graph this one, this one, this one, and this one, you should have no trouble graphing that, and you should have no trouble graphing that. Okay? Any comments or questions? Any concerns? Okay? So Von Travius, you asked an important question. To be honest with you, at this point, you are supposed to be a master Jedi of graphing with slope-intercept form. Obviously, you're not yet, and that's okay. You're not alone. There are many students who are not. In fact, the 6 questions that were part of your homework from the old workbook, that was all practice with graphing in slope-intercept form. So you're supposed to be graphing and practicing, and you're going to get more questions to practice. Those practice questions are incredibly important. Okay? Anything else? Good. So, of course, you titled today's lesson 4-9 Part 2. It is being treated as a separate lesson, even though it's Part 2 of the same idea. So this will be graded separately. And our goals are to further our understanding of parallel and perpendicular lines. To be quite honest with you, the work you're going to do today is very challenging. I'm just trying to give you a heads up. I'm not trying to intimidate you or make you feel bad. I'm definitely not trying to make anyone feel stupid or anything like that. But I just want to give you a heads up. It's going to be very challenging. It's going to get confusing at times. You're going to get confused. I guarantee it. The smartest person in the room is going to get confused. So, be aware of that. Be aware of what is required when that happens. What is required when that happens is perseverance. Perseverance is what gets you through a difficult challenge. Today is going to be a challenge. Before we get into the types of questions we're going to explore today, I want to talk about some ideas that you already know. And I want to talk about some ways of finding the slope of a line. Now, first of all, the first way is the slope formula. Could someone tell us the slope formula? Emma? That is not the slope formula. I appreciate your effort, but that's totally not what we're talking about. Travis? Very good. That is the slope formula. And so if you have 2 points, very good job. If you have 2 points, you can calculate the slope of a line. But what I'm talking about today is not calculating it. I'm talking about ways to find it depending on how something is written. So for example, if an equation is in standard form, that's what Emily said. She actually said standard form. ax plus by equals c. There is a shortcut to finding the slope. Now here's a new formula that you're actually going to have to remember. This is, by the way, only for advanced students. So only advanced students in the room should be dealing with this. M, which is the slope, of course, will equal the opposite of A, which is right here, over B. The opposite of A over B will get you the slope. The other option is to convert standard form into slope-intercept form. You should be able to do both if you're advanced. If you're not advanced, then you should just deal with converting. Because I don't know if you're going to remember this. You also have to be mindful of the capital. These are capital letters, because this is a lowercase b that has special meaning. So in slope-intercept form, the slope is easy to pick out. We talked about that during the warm-up. It's right there, just like Kiana said. After the equal sign before the x, that's the slope. X is not part of the slope. I heard someone say that in my last class. Oh, if the x's are the same, then they're parallel. No. No, if the slopes are the same, then they're parallel, and the slope is the number in front of the x when it's in slope-intercept form. So now, it depends on the situation. If you are given an equation in this form, you can find the slope doing this, or by converting to this. If you're given the equation in this form, you can find the slope very easily. If you are given the equation in this form, you can find the slope very easily. It is right there. So, two of these forms, the slope is right there for you. One of the forms, the slope is kind of there for you, but you have to do a quick little calculation or a little work, a tiny bit of work. Any questions about that? Because we're going to be using all of this today. Okay, and then from last time, parallel lines, same slope. Parallel lines, same slope. And here is the piece that many of you missed. Perpendicular lines, opposite reciprocal. Flip the number, flip the sign. So today we're actually going to put this all together. While we're working today, when you see or hear the word parallel, you need to start automatically saying this to yourself. And when you see or hear the word perpendicular, you automatically need to be saying this to yourself, or flip the sign, flip the number, flip the sign, or flip the sign, flip the number. It doesn't matter which order you do it in. Does anyone have any questions so far? So this is not today's lesson. This is all skills and ideas you need for today's lesson. All of this you already knew except for this right here. This is the only thing that's new. Any questions? Good. So let's jump in and do some challenging work. You do not have to copy the instructions, but I would like you to read the instructions carefully because they're challenging. They're worded in a very, very mature way.
What's in the bracket?
What, here?
Yeah.
No, you never have to write that. That's just giving you a clue on what's going to be happening. So, I'm going to read this to you out loud. Write an equation of the line that is parallel to the given line and passes through the given point. It sounds crazy. And it's challenging. So I'm going to clear up a few things to to the best of my ability for you so that you can have success. First of all, we are going to write a new equation. This is an equation. We're going to write a new one, another one. The new equation is related to this one because they are parallel to each other. But it is not going to be the same equation. The one thing that's not in the instructions is what form we should use. And we're going to use slope-intercept form because it's the easiest one to write. So we're going to get ourselves set up for success. This is the original equation. Oops, excuse me. This is the original equation. We are going to write a new equation. And the new equation is going to be in slope-intercept form. As Milan said earlier, that is y equals mx plus b. And so we need the m and we need the b. So we have to find those pieces of information and we have to use what's given to us here. You see or hear the word parallel, what two words should automatically pop into your head because you're trained? Sean?
Same slope.
Same slope. So our new line right here is going to be the same slope as the original line. So whatever the slope is of this, we're going to write the same slope there. So we need the slope. There's two ways that I know of to do it. We could convert this into slope-intercept form. Don't do it. I'm going to do it super fast. I'm going to do it at lightning speed. Okay? Don't do it. I just want you to watch. Subtract 6x from both sides. That cancels out. Negative 2y equals negative 6x plus 4. And then divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. This cancels out and get y equals 3x minus 2. All I did was rewrite this like this. So what's the slope of this line? Emily?
3.
It's 3. So we already know that the slope is 3, which means when we write our new equation, we're going to write a 3 right here. But I told you not to do this, right? I didn't want you to do that. Because we're going to do it using the advanced method since we're mostly advanced. Okay? So let me back up here a little bit. This might be a waste if I... Let's get some of that backed up. And we're going to use the quick little formula m equals negative a over b. The opposite of a over b. So, m equals the opposite of a over b. Now you are writing along with me. Now we're all working together. A, of course, is right here. So the opposite of a would be that. Over b is right there. So, of course, that's that. Now simplify. Negative over a negative is a positive. 6 over 2 is, what does it come out to? Ethan? 3. So we get the slope of this line is 3, which means that the slope of this line has to be 3 because this line must be parallel to that one. So now we can put a 3 right there. We are now halfway done with our new line. We've got the slope, but we're missing the b. You've actually done this before. We already know exactly what to do. We have this right here, and we have this right here. This is an x, and that is a y, and here is an x, space for an x, and here's a space for a y. So if we take this information with the 3 and plug it in, we will find our missing number. You've done this before. Plug in the 3 right here. That's the y. Equals 3 times the x, 0, plus b. And when we solve this equation, we will plug in the answer right there, and we will have our new equation. So solve that simple equation. What does it come out to? It actually requires no work whatsoever. What does it come out to? Shannon? B equals 3. So we put a 3 right there. And now we have our new equation. That's what we were looking for. Y equals 3x plus 3. Now, I did it very quickly before. Does anyone remember after I rewrote the equation what it came out to? Does anyone remember what it was? Aaron? No, this is y equals 3x plus 3. This one was different. It's okay if you don't remember. I did it quickly. Melinda?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
Yeah, it was y equals 3x minus 2. And now this one is y equals 3x plus 3. So you see how they're parallel? Parallel because they have the same slope. Different y-intercept, of course, but same slope. So this equation is equal to this one, but we got a new equation using all the information over here. Okay? Questions so far? We've done one question. I guarantee you you're going to get confused. I don't want you to get confused, but I'm just giving you a heads up. It gets confusing. So we have the same set of instructions. Write an equation of a line that is parallel to the given line and passes through the given point. So this is the given line. So this is the original. And then we're going to write a new line that will be in the form y equals mx plus b. And we have to find these missing pieces of information using whatever we have here. And the key word is parallel. Parallel automatically tells you something about these two equations. What does it automatically tell you? What are the two words that are supposed to immediately pop into your head? Tatiana?
Same slope.
Same slope. Very good. And I'm seeing more and more people with their hands raised. Same slope. So I need the slope from the original equation so I can write it in the new equation. So in this first example up here, I couldn't see the slope because it was in standard form, and so we had to do something. What's different about this one? What's different about this one, Mark?
The original one is right in slope intercept form.
And why is, what does that mean? What does that help us with?
That we don't have to change it. All we have to do is the new one.
That's right. So what's the slope going to be?
I don't think it's going to be a.
So now I already know you're getting confused. I can tell. Because when it's in slope-intercept form, what's the slope?
Oh, it's the one right in front of the x.
So what's the slope?
-3.
Okay, so we have the slope of the original, and since these two lines are going to be parallel, this is going to be the same slope as this. So what are we going to write right here?
Oh, it's going to be -3x.
It's going to be -3. same slope. So this question is easier because we didn't, like Mark said, we didn't have to find anything. We didn't have to do it. It was already done for us. But we still have to find this piece. And that's where this point comes into play, right here. That helps us find this. Because this is an x and a y, and we can plug that in here to find the missing piece. So go ahead and do it. 4, I got that from right there, equals -3 times -1 plus b. Solve that equation and put the answer right there. So go ahead and solve that equation. You can do it all mentally. You don't even need to do anything. Give me a thumbs up when you know what b is. I'm sorry, did I confuse you? Give me a thumbs up when you know what b is. So I only have 2 people who can do this simple equation. Okay, well, that's okay. I know we had a vacation, a long weekend between last lesson and this one. So you can put your thumbs down. I'm sorry if you didn't see it, but -3 times -1 is +3. So this really says 4 equals 3 plus what number? So I'm sorry if you couldn't see that very easily, that b had to be 1, because of course 1 plus 3 is 4. So I don't want to spend any time on a simple equation when we should be way past that. Okay? So, but we got what we wanted, which was this new equation. That equation is the new one that we were looking for. So we're done. And it's parallel to this one. I can see it because of this right here and right here. Those 2 lines are parallel. If we drew a graph of them, we would see 2 lines that never touched, just like during today's warm-up. Right here, 2 lines that never touch. Same slope, this is from here, same slope, different y-intercept, parallel lines. Same slope, different y-intercept, parallel lines. Any questions about what we did? Any questions at all? All right, let's see how you do on your own. Checkpoint number 1. Write me an equation of a line that passes through that point and is parallel to that line. Four minutes on the clock. Good luck. If you have any questions or problems, you let me know. You're more than welcome to talk to a teammate quietly if you need to. talk to just come to some agreement amongst your team.
I got y equals 2.6x minus this converted that.
All right, to the equity bars I go, but this time I'm going by team. Whoever is the middle person in the team, you are going to be the spokesperson for the team. You can tell me whether you agreed or not. So let's go with teams B, F, and C. Team B, what did your team come up with? Well, tell me what you came up with. Yep, it's confusing, no doubt about it. So what did your team come up with?
I don't know, y equals negative 8 x.
Okay. Team F.
We got different answers.
Okay, what was yours?
Y equals negative 2/3 x plus negative 8
Okay. Gloria, what was yours?
y equals, y equals negative 2 2/3 x plus 18.
Okay. And team C.
Well, we got the slope, but we could have run the
So go ahead and read me what you got.
y equals negative 8 over 3x plus b.
So, of course, the slope is negative 8/3 because what form is this equation in? Someone raise their hand and tell us that. What form is it in? Melinda? So we learned today a little trick for standard form. Opposite of A over B. Opposite of this over that will give you the slope. So that's the slope of this line, and since I'm trying to write a parallel line, that's going to be the slope of my new line. So the problem was not that you could not find the B. Could someone sum up the problem, the difficulty, in one word? What is the difficulty? Sum it up in one word, Aaron. Fractions. So you didn't know how to deal with the fractions, so you guys got stuck. So that's fine. So I'm not going to do a lesson on fractions right now. And if you need help with fractions, you can come to my care class, or we'll do some sort of fraction boot camp during care over the next couple of months. But right now is not about fractions. So if you could not find the 8 1/3, I am sorry. If you wrote it as 25/3, I would accept that. If you wrote the slope as negative 2 2/3, unfortunately, that is not proper. Because slope needs a numerator and a denominator only because they have special meaning. This is the rise and that's the run. If you convert it to this, you lose the rise and run. So you cannot do that. Do not convert slope to a mixed number. Anything else can be a mixed number. Slope cannot. Any questions about that? Any comments? Okay, so that was the easy stuff. Now the challenging work. Write an equation of a line that passes through the given point and is perpendicular to the line. Well, I said that this was the real work of the day. I was being somewhat sarcastic. This is actually the exact same thing with one crucial difference. The first three questions we did all were parallel lines. These are going to be perpendicular. So what two words should you be thinking when you hear or see the word perpendicular? Deja? Opposite reciprocal. You could also think of flip the sign, flip the number, or flip the number, flip the sign, or we could just maybe keep it as flip, flip. That's going to be important. So, this is the original line. We want a new line. And our new line is going to be in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. But we do not know the m, and we don't know the b, and we have to find both of them using this information over here. So this slope must be the opposite reciprocal of this slope. Well, we need that slope first, don't we? So you have two choices. You can either convert that to slope-intercept form, or use the quick little shortcut. M equals the opposite of A over B. Go ahead, you do it. Opposite of A over B. A is 4. Opposite of 4 is negative 4. B is negative 3. Now put it in simplest form. Negative over negative means positive, 4/3. So the slope of this line is 4/3. But we are going to write a perpendicular line. And so here's the major difference between the three questions we've done and this question. When we transfer this over here, that's what we did every time. Let me back up. Every time we transferred the slope to here, we transferred the slope to here. But now, when we transfer the slope to here, we have to do something to it. And we'll just say flip, flip. Flip the sign, flip the number. Flip the number, flip the sign. It doesn't matter. But no matter what, the 4/3 is going to flip and flip. So what will it turn into? Diane?
3/4.
Close. Flip the sign and flip the number. Sean? Negative 3/4. Flip, flip. Flip the sign, flip the number. So now we can see that we have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. 4/3 and negative 3/4 are opposite reciprocals. So we now know that they're going to be perpendicular lines. But now we have to find the b. And that's where this piece of information comes into play. That helps us find the last piece of information. This is x, this is y, here's an x, here's a y, plug them in. Y is 7, I'm getting that from over there, equals negative 3/4 times negative 7 plus b. Well, I said before I wasn't going to do any fraction lesson today, but you're going to get a little bit of help. Because you have to solve this so that we can plug in that piece of information. Seven equals negative 7 times negative 3/4. Negative times a negative is a positive. When you multiply a whole number times a fraction, you multiply the numerators. So 7 times 3 is 21, and we get 21/4 plus b. But 21/4, if that was slope, we would have needed that. we would need to leave it like that, but this is not slope we're talking about. That's a very uncomfortable number. What would be a better, more human way of writing 21/4 so it would make it a little easier to work with? Melinda?
5 1/4.
That's right. It is 5 1/4. So let's wipe that out or erase it, and let's put in 5 1/4. And now let's just solve this the easy way. This is solving an equation the easiest way. What number plus 5 1/4 equals 7? I could go a step further. Think of it like money. $5.25 plus how much money would get me $7? What's the missing amount? Emily? Good. But now it's not really money, so now let's do that as a fraction. So it's not $1.75, it's 1 3/4. So B is 1 3/4, and that goes right here. And now we have our new equation. And it is perpendicular to the original. So y equals negative 3/4 x plus 1 3/4 is the equation that we were asked to find. So the only difference between what we did just now and what we did before was this right here. Flip the sign, flip the number, flip the number, flip the sign to get the new slope. That was it. Everything else was the same. This process was the same. Finding the original slope was the same. Any questions about that? So let's go ahead and look at part B. Same instructions. Write an equation of a new line. And the new line is going to be perpendicular to this line. So it's going to be y equals mx plus b. And again, we are finding this, and we are finding this. Now, I want to relate this question to part B that we did before. When we did part B before, Mark helped us see that this is slope-intercept form, and the slope is right there. All we had to do was transfer it right there. Just straight transfer. Because the magic word in this question was parallel. Parallel means same slope. So all we had to do was transfer. And the original slope was right there. We didn't have to do anything to find it. That's what Mark was pointing out, is that it's already there. So, now fast forward to here. What form is this equation in? What form is that? Tatiana? Slope-intercept form. So again, the slope is easy to find. The slope is easy to find. It's right here. And again, we just have to do a transfer into our new line. We just need to transfer it here. However, what was the magic word in this question? Deja? Perpendicular. And so what do we have to do to the slope before we put it into our new equation? Em? Yeah, flip and flip. Flip the sign, flip the number. So negative 1/4. Flip the sign, flip the number. What's it going to turn into? Isabella?
+4.
Very good. +4. And so now you can easily see perpendicular, opposite reciprocals. But now we're missing this. And that's where this other piece of information comes in. This right here helps us find the B. X and Y. X and Y. Plug in the information, solve the equation. 7 equals 4 times negative 6 plus b. Solve and get your b. Go ahead, you solve it. No fractions, nothing to be scared of. You guys can do that in 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe. Give me a thumbs up when you got b. 1 person. 2 people. 3 people. 4 people. 5, 6, 7. All right, Tristan, what'd you get? Milan, do you agree? What'd you get? Okay, so we have a disagreement. Someone want to chime in and break the tie? Andrew? Okay. Mark, you disagree?
We got the same thing.
Which was?
31.
It is 31. 31. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Add 24 to both sides, you get 31. Okay? So we have our new line. Our new line is y equals 4x plus 31. And that will be perpendicular to that. These two lines will be perpendicular. Any questions about that? Any concerns? All right? Let's see how you do on your own. Checkpoint number 2. A little bit of thought involved. You got 5 minutes on the clock. Now let's go with 4 minutes on the clock.
Bless you.
Let's do. All right. Well, you're going to have a minute of team talk time, so if you're already done, go ahead and start team talk right now. You got 1 minute to compare your answers. All right. It doesn't matter whether you and your teammates agreed, but I want to know how you guys did. Stay on your toes. Now look at your numbers. The team member with the highest number is going to be the spokesperson. So, here we go. We got team F, G, and H. Team F. What did you guys get?
Y equals -1. Wait. Let me say it again. Okay. Y equals -1/2 x.
And did you all agree, or was it? Oh, you all agreed. Okay. Team G.
Y equals -1/2 x plus 0, which is undefined.
Okay. Did you all agree?
Yes.
Okay. Team H.
Y equals -1/2 x.
Y equals -1/2 x. So it sounds like you all said basically the same thing. Y equals -1/2 x. If you put plus 0, I can deal with that. However, Tatiana, be careful because that does not mean it's undefined. Undefined is when a 0 is in the denominator of a fraction. So having a 0 does not mean something is undefined. So I know of at least, let's see, 8 people who got it right. Give me a thumbs up if you also got this question correct. Good. Put your thumbs down. Last one of the day. You are on your own. You got a question? I'll come to you individually. Checkpoint number 3. Make sure you read. Answer the question. You got 4 minutes. Did you write down any of the information? What? What's negative?
it? What did you say? C was selected. Cool. Go ahead.
All right, let's see how you did now as an individual. Individuals, stay on your toes. I'm calling from the equity bars in effect. We've got number 13, 14, 8, 15, and 18. Number 13, what did you get?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
Okay, number 14, what did you get?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
Number 8, what did you get?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
So I have 3 people who seem to agree. Daniela, what did you get?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
Number 18, what did you get?
Y equals 3x minus 2.
The correct answer is y equals 3x minus 2. So what was the key word in this question? Key word in this question, Natalie? And what 2 words are you supposed to think of when you hear the word parallel, Kianis?
Same slope.
Same slope. Very good. Draw a line across your paper. Your homework is page 53, numbers 1 through 15 in the old workbook. The new workbook has nothing, no examples of these questions at all, even though you have to be an expert at them. Your test is going to be on, let me see, I see you tomorrow, Wednesday, so it's going to be on Thursday. And that will be chapter 4. And then you have a semester exam. Next week. And that is during your longest block. The longest block for you guys is this block, so yours is technically on Monday. However, I'm going to ask possibly permission to move it a week so that we don't have the pressure of having it 1 week from today. Because that's a lot to do in 1 week to prepare for